So now we're going to take it a step further. Of course, we felt the sweat, we felt everything physical, but this mobility has more to do with also our mind. As a consultant clinical psychologist, there's something that we do which is a progressive muscle relaxation, which is PMR. So when I saw Darshana's post, which is light mobility exercises, and I read the description, it is a classic progressive movement relaxation. Now, why are we all feeling different now? What is it that changed in our body, in our mind, that is making us feel good? The first thing is the hormones. I know that it's very cliched. You work out and it boosts your serotonin, it boosts your hormones, but it's an actual thing. Now let's talk about some of the myths surrounding mobility and exercise. Does anybody know some of the myths that are out there in terms of gym and workout? So the first one is that we feel that for us to be doing something like this, we have to be fit. Yeah, that's the number one thing, that, oh my gosh, I've never been to the gym. I don't do stuff like that. I've not even done Zumba in my living room. So that's one myth. A lot of the people feel that if they've been injured somewhere, they're not able to do this. So that's the first myth that needs to go. The second myth is that it's only for men. I'm so happy when I read that it's mobility for women. Because gym, especially I know in my culture, gym is associated with males. So that's the second myth. The third myth is, and I might be contradicting my career, but it is what it is, that we feel that whatever you do, it's mind over body, but it's actually interconnected. What you do with your body will have a drastic change on your mind, and you won't even know it. So your thoughts will affect your behavior, but what you do with your body will affect your mind and also how you behave. Is that okay? The other myth is that people think something like this is expensive. When I saw the rate and I was like, wait, is she crazy? What? That's like, I'm like, let me give her a call and tell her to make it 3K. It's not expensive. I think the reason I vouch for movement by Harakaty is the pricing. I think it's very reasonable. And just keep it like that. When you become famous, remember me for discounts. One myth was that we feel that it has to be very strenuous, like we have to do squats with 50 kilos. It can be light and it will release the same chemicals and serotonin and endorphins and stuff like that. Is that okay? So one thing that I want to say is with regards to at the top, we're not competing, we're collaborating. So what you eat, the way you move your body and mental health, they can't be treated in isolation. So I want to give you some handouts so you have, because I believe in visual memory as well, something that you can look at. What stood out? If nothing stood out, that's also fine. If this is something you already knew, that was also okay. We'll take this as a reminder. So one, yeah, go ahead.
Regeneration of adults.
Yes. So it's like you're regenerating your brain as well. So while we're building on our muscle, we're also creating new cell generation in the brain, and that is just classic. By the way, it also really helps with your skin. I didn't want to put that, but it's really good for... Absolutely. So let me tell you something. When I was doing it, the first thing I noticed, the first thing that came to my head was, damn, Mehreen, you're so good at your mind and body coordination. Not bad. Because for me to be doing what he's asking, I need to have some brain strength involved to see where I'm positioning it. And that is your brain. It has nothing to do with your muscle. Is that okay? So brain-body coordination. There was a research done, and this is an old research, that if you do light mental activities like puzzles, playing chess, or anything light will actually generate your brain neurons. Guess what? The same effect is when you do light mobility exercises. So let's not underestimate it, yes? Now I know I'm hyperventilating. The heart rate is still up, so I'm still burning calories while I'm doing this, which is excellent. I want you guys to ask me questions. We'll do a little bit. I know that you want to leave early, you mentioned. So just a few questions in terms of mobility, mental health, anything that you guys want to know. Yes.
I get a lot of women who are very overworked in multiple ways, and they're very, very depressed.
Okay.
So this would, I think, play a very important role in their lives.
Yes, absolutely. So what happens with for us as mental health workers, we recommend journaling. I do a lot of art therapy as well, where we need to have an emotional release. Initially, what men would do that a lot. You know, I mean, I've been married for a very long time, and I realized that gym was a place for men to release stress. Women are so busy, so involved. We don't have time to write and journal and paint for emotional release. Movement activates the release part of your brain, which is as good as art therapy, which is as good as talk therapy, which is as good as journaling. So definitely, you're absolutely right. Any form of release and basically pumping up the good hormones. It's really all about that. So we have the central nervous system, which is the brain, your spine. Then we have the endocrine, which is the hormones. And then we have the neurotransmitters, which is the chemicals. Tell me one thing that will activate all three. Common sense, we just did it. It's movement. Is that okay? Yes.
Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, depression, all these things.
Yes.
So I'm a diabetic, and I know there's a type 3 diabetes, which is Alzheimer's.
I didn't know that.
Disease.
Imagine.
And I've been listening to these podcasts on how this generates. It's not like the type 2 diabetes where it's a lifestyle disease.
Okay.
But it's an overstretch of too much sugar, no movement. So all these things in combination, like you said in the beginning, movement has an effect on your health, but it also is connected to your mind, and you have to eat right? And Victor always says that as well. But type 3 diabetes now is becoming so common in young people. If you just in your head, you think Alzheimer's and depression is for older people, get to old age, and that's connected to mental health. One of the biggest mental health.
It's like a crisis, huh?
Yeah. Depression and loneliness is such a big thing. So once you're talking about movement and also connecting it to your mind, it's so important how well we eat, right?
I know, right?
Yeah, because it's not just movement.
I agree.
And then go and have
It's
a
true.
big milkshake and an ice cream and a pizza and a massive plate of chips.
It's true.
It will make you dip again.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Right? I didn't know about the type 3 diabetes, but what stood out was you mentioned that a lot of young children are coming up with type 3 diabetes. Why? Young adults.
Their 20s, 30s.
Why? Can we think why that's happening? Yes?
Can I interrupt? This is going to be extremely controversial.
I love controversies. I was born for it.
Here, I've had also children, and a lot of problem comes from the gut.
Okay.
With diabetes. Also, they have found that there are parasites and worms that are contributing to it.
Okay.
Remember when we were kids, a lot of us are Indians, we used to have that kalokiriatu that would kill all the parasites, and the grandmothers would shove that one tablespoon.
That's so true, by the way. Yeah.
And if you see those children who have contributed to not have problems, if you find that children who never had it are having diabetes, having Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, MS. I had a client when I was staying in Darsa, he had MS, and we put him on the natural stuff to cleanse the body. It took 2 years, but he's like 95% better.
Amazing.
I think it's also related with what's available out there. There's so much processed food that people have been eating of late. and lack of movement or stress that also contributes from school or university or even work, depending on the age of the person. So you're right, like probably the gut is actually what's contributing to it. So I guess it's just a lifestyle.
General
as a whole
lifestyle, yeah.
That's contributing to the type 2 diabetes.
Yeah.
The
Yes, absolutely. As a mother, when I look at my kids, I'm not always a clinical psychologist, and thanks so much for sharing that. The number one thing that I feel is causing a downfall and early diagnosis of diabetes and Alzheimer's is lack of movement because of screens. That's it. We have kids who are playing with each other online and they're racing instead of calling and saying, "You want to go?" Yeah, it's okay. Instead of calling and saying that let's meet out for football or let's do this together or let's play tag together. I think still the lack of movement is number one for the early diagnosis of Alzheimer's.